Let's talk about views. We're going to come back to indexes a little bit later. We're going to do a bit of a magic trick. I'm going to show you how to speed up a query by 4 million%, which I'm pretty excited to do. It's the crown jewel of this course. But we have to work up to it. It's going to be the combination of a lot of concepts. But first, let's talk about views. Let's go back to English category names. We talked a little bit about that, right? Let's fathom for a moment. Again, we have this website. We're mostly showing English category names, and we don't need to show French, Italian, German. We could, every single time, do this query of select category ID, name, language, from category names, where language equals EN. Right? And we can do this literally every single time that we need to populate this database. And like any time that we have to do any joins, by the way, I don't vet anything that goes into this, like that shows up. So if something weird shows up as like a category name, I swear to God I didn't put it there. I was worried for a second that I saw that something was going to be bad. So far, so bad.
Number 17 looks like German.
It probably is. So the data integrity here is not the best either. But it was free, which was the correct price. So this is burdensome to have to do this every single time. And anytime that I want to do like a join, I have to join this big, massive thing, and I have to know where everything is coming from. I don't like it. I wish it was easier. It'd be nice if there was just a table that had just the English names in it, right? And I didn't have to do any sort of fun join to get that. Turns out there's a way to do that. And it's as easy as, I'm just going to say in front of this select statement, I'm just going to say create view English category names as blah, as query. Now if you look at my tables here, you can see I actually have a view as an entry here. And it looks just like a table. It has a category name, and a language. So now I can just say select star from English category names. And you know what I did that I should not have done?
The limit 5.
I put the limit on there, so it's actually only going to get the first 5 ever. So let's actually drop the view English category names. And we're going to recreate that. You could alter the query as well, but we're not going to do that. But now we can do that and say limit 5. Or limit 15 so that we get more, right? This is now 1 trillion times easier for us to deal with. Right? We don't have to do any expensive joins or anything like that. We can just get it's basically a lens. If you're familiar with the programming concept of lens, there's some languages that are really big into it. It's like a way of looking at data, but it's derived and can alter the data as it goes through a lens, right? The same idea applies here. If you're not familiar with lenses, then just ignore everything I just said. I showed you a really easy one where it's just like a where, but these can be big complicated joins as well. It doesn't have to just be just like a simple where. It can be literally any select that you can think of. It's useful for convenience. It's also useful for permissions. So imagine you have a contractor working with you, and you have some part of the database that you need to show the contractor and they need to be able to select from, but you can't show them all of the database. You could create a view, and then you could give them access to just the view. From their perspective, it's a table. They can do whatever they want from it, but they wouldn't be able to access anything else in the table. So from a security and a permissions kind of point of view, it's also a useful thing. Another interesting and useful thing is I can actually insert into a view. Category ID, name, language, values, 2, we should definitely have a topic about Brian Holt, right? Absolutely. And just to prove a point to you, despite the fact that this table only shows English, it's not going to verify that as it goes through. So I'm going to put this in as an Italian keyword. So I actually wouldn't be able to select this back out of it because it's an English table, but I was able to insert into it Italian. Again, it's not verifying the where clause there, but because there's a one-to-one mapping of the view to the table, it's just like, okay, you're inserting into this, so you're obviously inserting into the underlying table.
Are you inserting a second thing with category ID 2 now?
So select star from category names where ID equals 2. Or what is it? Category ID. So in English it's source, but in Italian, se dice Brian Holt. I don't know if you knew that. I speak Italian, obviously you don't. So, inserting into views, it's a neat trick, but it's obviously you can see it's not the most useful thing. I just thought it was kind of a funny thing.
So it went through the view into the source database.
Yeah, you can see here we're querying from category names because a view doesn't exist, right? It's just a lens to look at a table through. It's a query that gets run, and then you're selecting from the results set. That's actually more accurately what it is.
Is it similar to like making a temporary table, or?
A temporary table actually can store things. I guess no, it doesn't, because I guess it's purely transitional, right? I guess depending on what you mean by that, maybe. We're not talking about temporary tables today, but like if you're doing crazy things and you have to like create intermediary tables to then select from, and that's more complicated than result sets, then you can use a temporary table. If you're thinking about it as a transitive, because it's not transitive, it's really just what happens is you run your query against a view. The view runs the underlying query, gets all that data, and then you select from the results set as if it was a table. I guess that intermediary there you could think of kind of as a temporary table, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that question came from I was Googling other ways to speed up queries beyond indexes, and one of them was like use temp tables and don't do nested views. And so I was like, I knew they were different, but I was kind of trying to figure out,
Yeah, you can have views on views, right?
Yeah.
So is it faster to query the view than to query the original table with the where clause for English?
It's probably about the same, I would imagine. This is not a performance tool. That's a good thing to keep in mind.
Okay.
This is a convenience and security tool.
Quality of life.
Yeah. That was 641. What was our original query? Create view. Actually the same.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. So it's going to be similar, but I could see the point of like if you're having views go through views, the hops aren't free. They're probably pretty cheap, but they aren't free.